Hello, Karen. Hey, Lindsay. Hey, Michaela. Hey, Kitty. Hey, Killface. Hey, Keyline. Sorry, just, Hey, Scrapecoat. Hey, Jaja. Just need to update my video. Update the details. How's it going? Not too bad. Hey, Sweet Caroline. Hey, Alicia. Have I ever played an online or game in general that has to do with nature? I don't know. I like a new place. It's okay. You're all swollen. You should get that checked out. Oh, long day today. My family and I have bad allergies. That sucks, kitty germs. I had supper with my mom tonight. Went out for supper with my mom. Hey, back shots. I had ribs and wings. It was okay. My words per minute, Ivan? I don't know. I don't know what my, I'm probably like 60. I thought maybe because you liked this game that maybe you did. Yeah, Sweet Caroline. I had ribs and wings. Bad. Games about nature. I don't remember. Hey, Comic Brook. Audio staticky. Is it staticky for everybody, or? Hey, Loopy. Remember. Hey, Comic Brook. Audio staticky. Oh, yeah, I hear what you mean. Mario Kart. I didn't really play either. Kitty Charms. I didn't really play either of those. Alright, so as far as the static goes, I don't know what to do. Genuinely no idea how to fix it. Hey, Loopy. Games about nature. Hey, blueberry muffins. I don't know, turkey leg. It's probably... I probably did something. Maybe I'll save up for a new computer. Yeah, Nancy, I know. Yeah, maybe in a couple months. Hey, Polly. Soft rotate. New phone and my 2248 game reset. Which game, Killface? Yeah, that sucks when your game resets. Spill liquid? No. Has work been going? It's okay. Hey, Fatal. Let me be the mic. I mean, it's the same mic I always use. Only seems to do this at Streamlabs. Yeah, because like on my regular lives, it's fine. Let me try something. Just persistent, yeah. Of course, yeah. No, these are, I don't remember what they are. Razer. Hey, Kelly. These are Razer. Is NG with the BBG right now? The BBG. Razer headphones here. Yeah, it might be worth looking into getting another one, a different different mic or something. I don't know. Things I will have to look into. Hey, Fatal, what's this game? It's called Our Life, Beginnings and Always. Static worse. Upgrading my computer would be... I mean, it might be worth, like, buying a new one, it would be worthwhile just because I key popped off this one. I don't know, it's... I don't know. I do kind of want to get like a specific gaming computer. Be a couple months before I'd be able to. But I am not backshots. Blueberry? Yeah, I'd probably hit like Staples. There's a Staples not far from me, so I'd probably just... I've tried putting razors in my ears and it never worked. Hey, MK. Hey, Color Purple. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to fix it. Probably just... I've tried putting razors in my ears and it never worked. Hey, MK. Yeah. Matching gaming chair. No, MK. I just did a few minutes ago, Blueberry. I don't know. Let's go to Staples. I don't have enough for the computer yet, color purple. Like I said, probably be a couple months. If I am able to do, like... If I'm able to keep... I figure if I'm able to make, like, 1,000 a month from YouTube for the next, month or two, then I should probably be able to get... if I can get, like, 1,000 this month, and then maybe, like, 1,000 in May from YouTube, then probably, like, May, I can probably get, like, a really good... Hey, Ash Twinkie! I could probably get, like, a really good brand new computer. Blow into it before first plug. It's not an old Nintendo turkey leg. How much you're making? It varies. Is Nintendo Mario Kart worth $800 or no? Probably not. Color purple? Nobody's ever commented on... None of the people in my training have mentioned static, so... I have no idea. Anyways, should we get started? Tell-all? No. No tell-alls. I'm not a sellout. I'm not a narc. Hey, it's this dude. This is some kind of porny music. Anyway, after lunch, you ran into Baxter. He was more than happy for an impromptu hangout in your neighborhood. He idly spoke about the first time he bought a shirt online. Apparently, the website hadn't been in English, so he had made do with automatic online translations. His unique fashion sense was eclectic in more than one way. Finding out how he filled out his wardrobe answered some of your questions about his look. He smiled in fond remembrance. Coming here and flexing your integrity? I measured myself multiple times to make sure I could order the correct size. It wasn't as if I'd be able to ship it back if there were problems. But, to make a long story short, it arrived in one piece, multiple months later. At that point, I wasn't going to complain. It was a physical object in my hands. He gestured with his arm for emphasis. As he did, Baxter glanced at his wrist, at a watch that wasn't there. Anyway, I hope I'm not taking too much of your time with this. A little more integrity than string sniping transphobes? Indeed. You had a few chores to do, but you were generally free. You weren't worried about it and shook your head. Baxter eased back and returned to chatting. The two of you meandered around the neighborhood, aimlessly walking as he talked. I saw Cove earlier. He was on his way to work from what I gathered in a brief chat, and from how he was dressed. Yeah, he's working as a server at the Tropical place. I think he found a good option for himself, especially with how limited jobs are in this town. Since you are free, perhaps we could do better than standing here. I'd be delighted to invite you over to my condo to chat more comfortably. Baxter's condo. You'd lived on this street your entire life, but had never actually been inside. You were curious about it. I thought you'd never ask. But I will need to leave before this evening. I have plans to visit Cove at his work too. Of course, I wouldn't presume to keep you. He made a grand sweeping gesture directed at his place, and led the short walk over. You followed beside him, stopping when you reached his front door. He opened it for you and welcomed you inside. It was a familiar threshold from your childhood. You couldn't help having a slight shiver up your spine as you thought of this condo's previous residents. I'm sorry to bore you, Carrie. You took a quick breath as you cautiously stepped into the condo. The first thing you noticed was just how unexpectedly nice and sleek it was. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Not bad at all. It was also clean, and smelled faintly like some sort of unidentifiable air freshener. You had to wonder how much of this was due to whoever rented it out, the former residents, or the current one. Regardless of the pleasant presentation, you were on edge. You couldn't help but stay on guard, as if mean, not grandparents might jump out to yell at you at any moment. Dating sim? Not really a dating sim. It's more just about growing up. Play it online with other people? No. No, it is not an online game. It is a single-player experience. Baxter noticed something of your discomfort and raised an eyebrow. Is everything all right? I've never seen the inside of this condo.
Really?
Oh? He seemed genuinely surprised. The former neighbors never had you over for tea? Sounds out of character for this street. You snorted at the ridiculous thought of those particular prior visitors ever inviting you over. No, they weren't exactly nice. They were the opposite of that, really. I'm actually amazed I'm standing here now. Look, we're at 18. We are at age 18 right now, Backshots. Baxter's smile was curled as he ushered you the rest of the way inside and closed his door. I would like to hear more about this. Sounds like there's a story here. For children? I wouldn't say for children. DFW Doug. Thank you very much, DFW Doug. I wouldn't say all ages, but I don't know, probably teen it up. He sat on his sofa, first sitting properly before readjusting his position to a comfortably forward crouch. I was interested in doing this game with my husband, and he looked at me like I was out of my mind. He was right. He waved his hand towards his furniture, an invitation to take a seat yourself. I read crouch as crotch, which is one of the weirdest / best words ever. Hey, backrooms. Nearby chair. Husband is no fun. Not wrong. Or other half of his couch. Makes me want to play Yandere Simulator. Nice. You sprawled on the other half of his couch, yes. Sprawling. You plopped down and got comfortable. You tucked your legs up, careful not to get your shoes on the cushion. Take your shoes off then, jerk-ass! I'm angry. This is a nice house. Take your damn shoes off. Sorry, I have opinions on shoes in the house. Anyway, you tucked your legs up and took advantage of the space you had. Hey, PK. Your back rested on... Hey, J-Dot. Welcome. Your back rested on the arm of the couch so that you were turned to face Baxter. He didn't bat an eye at your position. So, you want to hear about the mean not-grandparents?
Absolutely.
My ears are open. Self-employed and have no time for weekends off, vacations. Yeah. Fucking gaming. What's the opinion? My opinion is, if it's a nice house, take your fucking shoes off. Obviously, like, there are some houses, yeah, you don't want to take your shoes off because they're, you know, filthy. You don't trust the people who live there to clean the floors and everything. But nice house, take your damn shoes off. You began to give him the rundown of your past neighbors, explaining how they didn't like children and had a reputation among you and the other kids for being nasty. The summer Cove moved in, we were all hanging out. Well, Cove was crying and Lizzie had this idea for me to go ding-dong ditching on them. I probably shouldn't have done it, but at the time, it just had to be done. So I went up, rang the doorbell, and ran for my life. Reasonable. The two of you continued to chat until the sun started hanging lower in the sky. It could be seen falling through his large windows. You stood up when it was time to go, and Baxter led you to the door. I think I'm actually going on an outing to town myself. It's a good night for exploring. You nodded as he stepped outside. Thanks for having me over. Goodbye, Jamie. You parted in good spirits and walked off. You entered your house and got yourself ready to visit Cove. You were definitely looking forward to seeing him. Lately, Cove had been working more often. You rarely saw him during his shift for obvious reasons. He was busy. That was why it had been a surprise when Cove asked you to swing by. Maybe Cove was also thinking about how much his job had impacted how often you saw each other. Luckily, his place of employment was within walking distance. You wouldn't have to worry about getting a ride. The air felt heated around you, but with enough of a breeze to cool you off. You strolled past familiar buildings, not even having to think about how to get to Cove's job. You had gone down these streets more than enough to memorize the way. It was easy to just enjoy the brief trip. Thanks, Vanna. Soon enough, you reached the parking lot of the tropical restaurant. You headed right inside. Not bad. Not a bad place. Not a bad restaurant at all. That's a lot of plants. A lot of plants there. Hey, Kim. Hey, Icky. Nope, still got a little ways to go, Icky. There was a small jingling of a bell. Oh, did Jordan come in? Did I miss Jordan? I don't see Jordan. Oh, hey, Jordan! Whoops. Yes, I did have dinner with my mom. I did sup with my mother, yes. would fart in that plant pot. There was a small jingling of a bell as the front door closed behind you. It alerted the employees of your arrival, and you scanned the lobby for a tall, green-haired waiter. You saw a flash of movement and stepped to the side so you could see the back corner better. With the better angle, Cove was easy to spot. He was cleaning the table of some customers who must have just left. He instinctively looked up from the stack of dishes at the sounds of someone approaching. Cove met your eyes with a welcome smile when he realized who it was.
Thanks.
Hi, Jamie. Thanks for coming. Hey, thanks for inviting me. Is stuff going good? Miss Dandy? Dandy was here just last night. Where did I eat? We went to a place called the Glengarrion. It's just like a pub. Jenna! Hey, Jenna. Cove laughed quietly, his eyes alight with past bemusement. You should have seen it. When I got here earlier, there was a huge fight going on with the schedule. I just tried to stay out of it. I'm lucky no one else wants to close. It's not something I've got to defend. Some shifts are way too competitive. He shook his head at the memory. He wondered how the shifts had been sorted out in the end. He didn't bother to elaborate further on his workplace drama. No worries, Comic Brook. Is okay. Anyways, yeah, it's fine. That was the most exciting today I got. I am so glad I don't have to deal with all that. It sounds stressful. In that case, you do not want to know about how hard it was for Tim to get off early enough to go to a concert he'd mentioned months ago. He scratched the back of his neck as he stared into the middle distance. He had seen things.
Oh.
Cove's eyes grew wide and then drifted off. His mind was clearly elsewhere. Speaking of work, I gotta get back to it. That's what I'm doing right now. He laughed at how easily your presence made him forget the situation at hand. Take a seat somewhere over here. That's my area. I'll be back to take your order after I finish that other table. It won't be long. With that, he gave you a sunny nod and readjusted his apron. Okay, I'll see you soon then. You sat at a table near a window, so that I could look out the window and be distracted by it. Because I am very easily distracted. Honestly, it's a good thing I don't actually have a window in my room right now, because, yeah, I would always, get distracted looking out the window. So, at work, when I'd be working or something, I'd end up looking out the window and just lose track of what the customer had said. Anyways, you took a seat right near the wall and stared off into the evening. It had already looked so much darker out than it had only a few minutes ago. A few cars drove past. A seagull also landed on the sidewalk across the street. The bird was trying to eat something fry-shaped. Maybe a fry. As promised, Cove swung by again. He stood up straight, the task that had been at hand completed. Are you looking? It's only a week, so it's too early to tell so far. Evil clone. He took your order with a grin and jotted it down neatly. Since you had a moment together, you struck up a new conversation. So, do people hit on you a lot while you're working? You lean towards him, watching for his reaction. He stuttered in bashful confusion. Thanks, Lolo. Trying to find my zit cream?
What?
I don't know. How would I even tell? He ducked his face down and he tried not to laugh. Cove could be very dense when it came to that. He took a second to think, and when he raised his head, he was suddenly smirking. I may not know if people have flirted with me exactly, but there are a few people who sort of shot past that. I've had requests to just directly be somebody's new boyfriend, and some other stuff that was weirder. Does that count? You can't time out a baby chick? I could absolutely time out a baby chick. You think I won't time out a baby chick? Freaking try me. Go ahead and try me, you future nugget. Cove's hair color hurts my eyeballs. Was future nugget too much? I'm just curious, is future nugget, was that a little too much? What kind of weirder stuff? Oh, come on! Gotta know if I'm into it. I'm not telling. Dang. Then how will I know if I'm not? How will I know if I'm into it or not, Cove? Cove chuckled at your reaction. Oh, actually, you were suddenly reminded of your afternoon adventure at Baxter's place. Remember the mean not grandparents? I saw inside their home.
What?
Really? He looked amazed, like he was just barely containing himself from peppering you with questions. Suddenly, a thought hit him like a brick. Wait. He settled down immediately. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. The new person staying there is really, welcoming. Say, bird self? Bird self. Someone called out for a server. Cove turned his head without pause and gave them his best customer service smile. He nodded at you and then headed over. You watched as he got the other table a round of refills. It was a shame your conversations were so brief, but what else could you expect when he was on the clock? Seeing Cove acting so mature was different. He was like a real adult, and giving service with a grin, at least when he remembered he was supposed to be working. You were proud of him. It was nice seeing him growing up. Nice to see him growing up. He had changed a lot over the years, and you were happy to see how much he had matured. Cove eventually returned with your drink and then with your food. He stole little moments with you, quick conversations and smiles. You watched him work. He took orders, cleaned tables, and delivered food in a very professional manner. He was always on his feet and rarely stopped moving. After you had finished eating and paid, a few large groups started to flood the restaurant. Some seemed like regular tourists, but there was also a group of 12 carrying in birthday presents. As Cove looked like he was about to be very busy, you decided it was time to head out. You scooted your chair back and started to walk towards the doors. He frowned when he saw you leaving, but then switched right back to a smile. He gave a quick wave before turning back to his bustling tables. You grinned. You felt buoyed to see Cove for a little bit. Wordlessly, you ambled back outside into the shopping area. The evening sun was warm on your skin while you were taking the trip back home. You heard the quiet jingle of your phone and stopped on the sidewalk. Then you pulled it out to check. It was from Mom. Would you mind stopping by the grocery store on your way home to pick up some asparagus and peppers for dinner tomorrow? Asparagus, ew. Can't make it myself. Deadlines are tight right now. Thank you, and have a great day. You were happy to do it. It wasn't what you were expecting to do today, but it was totally fine. Your mom was always working hard. You wondered how her day was going. Hopefully much better than yours, you thought. Texting back, you said, "Yeah, I can do that." You weren't expecting her to text back anytime soon, though you did already get a thanks for it. Your phone remained grasped in your hand as you grew lost in your thoughts. Everyone was busy working nowadays. The only other person who wasn't was Liz, and you had no idea how long before that changed. You were glad that you hadn't had to get a job yet. It was one relief with everything else going on. You were grateful your moms weren't pushy about sending you off to the workforce now that you were a new adult. The day you started supporting yourself on your own was coming sooner rather than later. You were acutely aware of that fact, so that's why you were in no rush. You knew that you'd be taking care of yourself somehow someday, but for now, you want to focus on other priorities before you made that transition. You were still inside of your head when another message came through. Looking at your phone, you saw that it was Cove this time. Can we hang out again? After I close at work this time. I could come to your house or something. You texted back, "Yeah." A fond smile tugged at the corner of your mouth when the next message arrived immediately. "Awesome, thanks." Asparagus isn't the best. I forget, does asparagus make your pee smell better or worse? Like, asparagus changes how your pee smells, right? Does it make your pee smell better or worse? It's more fun to have a little mystery. I know that's in reference to the gender stuff, but it feels amusing as an answer to my question about asparagus changing how pee smells. And hey, Joey. You were struck with an idea as your fingers hovered to reply. You already agreed to run by the store today. You could meet Cove in town. Actually, I'll meet you at work when you're done. I have to stay out running an errand anyways. Cool. I'll be here, obviously. See you later. Smiley. You finally put your phone away. You realized then that you may not have enough time to get to the store and back before Cove was off. You'd need to return to the tropical place first. But what was done was done. To fill the little gap of space in between your new plans, you decided to... You haven't heard anything I've said? Backshots? Aw. Oh, okay. It's just because you're not paying attention to me. Okay. I thought it was because audio problems, but you're just ignoring me. Fair enough. browse other places close by. Your feet took you down to where several of the touristy shops were located. It had been a while since you last poked your nose around what they were selling. Oh, hold on. That's my mom. Give me a second, everybody. 1 second. Just gonna...
Make sure I don't get in the picture.
Yeah. I was gonna try to mute, but whatever. I don't even... I was gonna try to mute, but I don't know where the mute button is.
Okay.
Going home?
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm fading.
Yep.
Okay, so take care.
Yep.
And I'll see you in a week or so. Huh?
Yep.
Okay. Some boxes in the closet.
People do want me to get something in that closet.
Well, either that or shut the door.
I'm worried if I shut the door, it'll give a view into my bedroom. Like the mirror would reflect into my bedroom.
Oh, that's true.
So that's why I don't shut it.
Hmm. You should put a chair through in the living room.
Yeah, maybe.
Comfy for me to sit on.
True. I'll try to get it done before the next time you come over.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sweetheart. See you later.
Yep.
Love you.
Oh, but
If you hear blood crashing and banging, come out.
okay. And my viewers say hi.
We'll say hi back to them. Hope you all have a very pleasant evening.
Yeah.
Tell them to be kind to you. Mommy says so.
Okay. Good night.
Good night, darling.
My mom says hello. She hopes you all have a very pleasant evening, and also that you'd all better be nice to me. My mom wants you all to be nice to me. So. But I think my mom's just getting a ride from the people. She sounds it. She is. My mom's really nice. My mom's great. My mom is great. She's single? Yes. She'll hold to make it a real pleasant evening. She knows about it. I appreciate it, Kelly. She's our mom too. I mean, she does tend to adopt people. Anyway, so your feet took you down to where several of the touristy shops were located. It had been a while since you last poked your nose around what they were selling. As you approached the restaurant building, you noticed a figure out front. Thanks, Skillface. It was Cove. His silhouette was instantly recognizable to you, even in the dim light of the parking lot. You could see he was smiling eagerly as you got closer. He had been waiting for this. You ran to kiss him. Yours, my new dad will be Habibi's new grandfather. You banded through the final steps to reach Cove and planted a kiss right on his face. It was too fast for him to respond, but he chuckled approvingly. Hello again. Hi, Jamie. His initial excitement at your arrival deflated quickly. Cove stopped being able to meet your eyes as he spoke more.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry for earlier, when you were visiting. It wasn't very exciting, was it? I hope I wasn't wasting your time. Cove, it's never a waste to see you. Aww. Oh. His smile re-emerged, though only slightly, then he continued his thought. It's just, with all the shifts I've been doing lately, I wanted to have you around some more. That's really all. It was to make my day better. But it's not like working has to be a good time, and there's better things you could have been doing than watching me do stuff at a distance. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with wanting some support. I'm here for you. You grinned easily. You felt proud you were the one he called when he needed someone to lift his spirits. Different voice over the characters. I kinda try a little bit. Cove flushed as he beamed openly at him. But I only have so many voices. I'm glad my job doesn't have to get in the way of us being together. I feel the same way. What am I actually playing? Visual novel. Our Life. It's a visual novel. No, Zero. Aw, thanks, Skillface. I feel the same way. Thanks. It works out then. Cove reached out for you and you leaned into it. He gently held you against him as you relaxed against his body. It was comforting. Rip Cove's pants off. It's not that kind of game, Zach. What was that errand you talked about before? Are you still doing that? Yeah. Would you want to come too? It was late, and you knew that Cove wanted to go home, but admittedly, you wanted company. He eased that concern by smiling softly. Sure. Yeah, I can go shopping with you. You walked, right? Mm-hmm. Want me to drive you? Yeah, that would make things a lot easier. No problem. I hear Oculus porn is pretty good. That's called hentai, Jessica. All those tentacles? I hear Oculus porn is pretty good. Yeah, with all the tentacles. Swedish Canadian High. Our school was called. Is two a good name? Stop fighting me. Real though did a Twitter thing and ended up here. It's nice of you to do this.
Not really.
I like spending time with you. Thanks. I like that too. Moments later, Cove had his things together and you were both ready to swing by the store. Cove pulled into one of the many free parking spots at the neighborhood 24-hour grocery store. Car doors were popped open, and you got out at the same time. Absolutely not, Zero. Tentacle dildos? Yep, you can get them. Those are a thing. There was a salty smell in the air as the two of you strolled through the dim parking lot. The local burger joint on the other side of the pavement guaranteed the place always smelled like fries. Yum. Your eyes squinted at the change of lighting when you made it inside the building. The automatic doors shut behind you. With you truly having arrived, Cove raised his brow curiously.
So?
What are we here for again? Asparagus and peppers. It's for something my moms are making tomorrow. Sounds good. This will be a short trip. Uh-huh. You idly scanned the front room for a basket you could use. A full cart wasn't necessary. You were already looking forward to tomorrow's dinner. You'd make sure the ingredients you selected were divine. Hey, Eggy Head. You spotted the baskets and caught a glimpse of Cove's full appearance while looking down to pick one up. It is kind of weird to see you dressed in a uniform in a different store. Cove snickered while sidling up beside you.
Right?
It's like I'm wearing a costume after Halloween is over. But I just hope no one thinks I work here. The uniform is totally different, but you never know. Basket in hand, you ambled towards the vegetable section. It was set near the back, but visible right from the entrance. Vegetables are usually right near the entrance. In most grocery stores, fresh produce right at the front, dairy at the very back. Thanks, Eggy Head. I'd like to have no 2023 birthday to look forward to? What do you mean? Because I already had my birthday? Is that what you mean, Scrapegoat? Yeah, there's like actual, research has been done into sort of the optimal grocery store layout. I hope I helped, Backshots. Cove matched your pace, keeping at your side. The asparagus was simple enough to select. You simply picked up a bundle that looked fresh. All those left was the peppers. There was a wrinkle in that plan. What color did they want? She didn't say. Then what are we gonna do? The color definitely matters. Get one of every color. I'll text Mom real quick to ask. He nodded, satisfied with your solution. You tried to fish out your phone while balancing the basket. Cove held a hand to take it. You accepted the help. You are not blocked, Zero Cool. Yet. Storms in Kentucky. Oh, your phone died? That's shitty. That's shitty, Backshots. With both hands free, you were able to type out a brief message to ask about pepper colors. Then you stared, waiting at the screen. Cove hovered nearby to peek over your shoulder. The replying icon appeared, and he felt Cove lean in even closer. Just the regular green ones is what she sent back. Alright, that's easy. No power for 11 hours? Yeah, that sucks. And he was right. You picked up the requested green peppers, tossing a few into the basket. Produce acquired, all that was left was to go through the line. But as you approached the cash registers, Cove stopped in his tracks. Oh, while we're here, I want to get something too. I need fruit for breakfast tomorrow. But what should I have? He glanced back unsurely at the section you just left. I can go back to look with you. That coaxed a small smile from Cove. His tension eased. Arkansas had so much damage. Once after a tornado, I had no power for a week. Yeah. Longest I've ever been without power was the 1998. I think it was 1998. Southeast ice storm. Ontario, Quebec ice storm. It was a good week that we had no power there. Luckily, we had a fireplace at my house back then. Or 97? 97 or 98? Which year was that ice storm? But that's the longest I've ever... That's the only time I've ever gone more than, more than a few hours without power. And sometime last year, I think, there was a big storm that knocked power out for... I think we got our power back, late at night.
Sorry.
Thanks, Jamie. And sorry. It's fine. We can take a little more time to do this. Cove gratefully led you back to the fruit stands. He let his eyes wander across all the options, seriously considering his decision. Aw, thanks, Eggy Head. Not bothering to rush, he walked up and down the produce aisle for the second time that trip. Finally, something caught his attention. Transparent cases containing fresh blueberries. Cove grinned. That's it. It'll be perfect for tomorrow. Great. Despite the suddenness of how it happened, you were genuinely glad Cove was able to get something nice for himself during the visit to the store. It made the trip even more worthwhile. Tennessee, a crazy but beautiful state. Cove carried his food himself, and the two of you went back to get a spot in line. After that, you completed separate orders for what you were getting. The produce was packed away into paper bags. There was one for you, and one for Cove. You both had what you needed in hand. The errand was finished. You walked across the length of the store to reach the doors closest to where you had parked. How's Mom? 70s. She is in her 70s, Zero Cool. You and Cove stepped back into the night. Cove lightly swung his bag back and forth in his grip as you peered squinting into the dark parking lot. He smiled slightly, a gentle expression on his lips. Thanks for inviting me to the grocery store. Thank my mom for sending me out to do this. Your mom is pretty cool, though maybe not for asking you to do a chore. After a moment of walking further into the parking lot, he sighed mildly. As nice as Cove was about this, he had to be tired after working a full shift. Loser Senator and Bitch Mitch. It's been a long day. Yeah. That very brief exchange really summed it up. Cove shook his head to himself, bemusement replacing his worn-down expression. When did a busy day go from having way too many ways we wanted to play, or having some extra homework, to having to spend all day at a job and then running errands after? When we became grown-ups. This is the true adult experience? Working, buying food, and then squeezing in human interaction while you're doing other productive stuff? Yeah, I guess kid me did always think older people spent their lives at their jobs. I was right all along. He laughed, and you had to agree. Cove's eyes narrowed as his mouth opened slightly. He was having a thought.
I think?
Your moms need this stuff for tomorrow's dinner, not tonight, right? Uh-huh. And nothing's frozen, so you don't need to get it home urgently or anything. Would you want to go across the parking lot to that fast food place? We could get something. You know it's still open, doesn't matter how late it is. It might be nice. You perked up at the suggestion. It sounded like fun. Alright, let's go for it. This game is scary. Let's drop the groceries off, then we can go. You agreed, and Cove strolled over to the cars, buoyed at the thought of something to look forward to. Utah's too Mormon for me? He placed his bag in the back of his car, and then he let you store yours inside as well. With the groceries taken care of, it was a short walk to the burger joint. There were 3 cars lined up in the drive-thru, which wasn't too bad. You had to go all the way around the building to get into the front entrance, but soon you were under another set of bright fluorescent lights. Hey, Gullywog. Luckily, there was no line inside the building, so you stepped right up to the counter. You glanced over the menu. You remembered eating here before with Cove, back when Kyra had taken you both years ago. The menu looked pretty much the same from what you could remember. Crackhead weather, crackhead people, crackheads in office. Oh, hey, Keefster. Hey, Bryn. He was missing the mozzarella sticks, but most of the other items were familiar. Hello? What would you like to order? Yes, hello. I would like one of everything on your dessert menu. You burst out laughing. He brushed a hand against the back of his head, and his polite smile for the employee bent. Hi, Frida. Mom rubbed off on me. He was reminiscing on that visit, too. After the cashier made sure Cove was being serious, it was your time to order. You got a hamburger. With no cheese. French fries. A soda. A milkshake. A soft serve sundae. Where's Jenna? She was here earlier. Not sure if she might have stepped out or not. Let you pick? No, crab legs. I'm picking. Fine, fine. Anything on here you want me to pick, crab legs? Anything you want me to pick? I know, Gollywog, I couldn't. No salad? Oh, no. Oh, darn. I forgot to order a salad. Onion rings? You want onion rings, crab legs? Alright. Onion rings. And that was all. Cove gave you a little thumbs up. He wasn't the only one indulging. You wrapped up the ordering process, paid, got the number 264, then claimed a table. You sat down across from Cove in a booth where you had a good view of the front counter. It was nice to have the pick of the place. Thanks for doing this, Cove. Thanks, Zero. Don't worry about it. I want to do it too. Then you took out your phone to text your moms about your delay home. You didn't want them to worry. Cove watched you before pulling out his phone as well, maybe for the same reason you did. When the updates were sent, it was back to being just you and your neighbor once more. He offered you a small smile. I've missed you, you know. Even if you weren't ever really gone. It's been less time than I am accustomed to. Hey, fuzzball. It's a visual novel, Our Life, Beginnings and Always. Cove tapped his fist on the table definitively. He paired that action with a childish pout. If someone saw him like that, they might have assumed he was throwing a fit over not getting the toy that comes with a kid's meal. We demand more time with each other. You dropped your palms onto the table for added emphasis. Exactly. Resident Evil? No. No Resident Evil games. He beamed at you sincerely, a ray of sunshine in this late-night food trip. When the number was called, Cove hopped up from his seat before you could react.
Don't worry about it.
I've got it. Save our spot. You nodded your agreement. My best friend lives in Pennsylvania. She's a bitch, though. You stayed in the booth and got situated for the arrival of all the stuff. You checked over the table and moved your phone to the side to make sure there was a clear space. Cove returned with 2 trays in hand, a great bounty of food. He placed them down carefully, being extra cautious with the tray that held his milkshake. I'm back. And that's going to be the last time I'm serving food to anyone today. He smirked and you snickered. It made a lot of sense he was the one to get it. He was a professional. Thank you for carrying all that, Cove. It's no problem. Cove didn't hesitate before digging in. He took a large bite out of his cookie and immediately sipped his milkshake. Then he took a spoon and sampled his sundae with an approving hum. He made an attempt to follow that up with a bite of his apple pie as well, but bailed with a distressed look on his face. You tilted your head in a silent question. Hot? He switched back to the milkshake, taking a dedicated slurp. Cove sighed at the cool relief it brought. You also started to taste yours. It really wasn't bad. In only a minute, Cove's cookie was gone. You wouldn't be surprised if the milkshake wasn't far behind. You flicked a straw wrapper at Cove. You found the paper discarded from the straw Cove used for his milkshake. You squished it into a little ball while he was distracted, and then very deliberately launched at Cove. Your aim was true. It hit him square in the nose. He didn't even flinch, too used to your violent straw wrapper ways. He casually reached down with his free hand and tossed the paper ball back at you. You sputtered when it hit you on the top of your head and bounced away. You scrabbled to grab it from where it fell on your booth and threw it back at him. He chuckled and lobbed the tiny ball in a return pass. You felt so glad Cove agreed to come along with you on the initial grocery trip, and equally happy you accepted his invitation here. Cove's milkshake brings all the hoes to the beach. Yep. Little time off your feet, a little something to eat. You felt more energized than before. You continued to chat, mess around, laugh, and enjoy yourselves. For the first time that night, you felt like you weren't totally grown up after all. Hey, a nice short one for once. Oklahoma. Texas traffic is terrible in Dallas-Fort Worth. Oklahoma dull all around. Gonna betray? He won't, Fatal. Of course he's not going to betray me. Oklahoma just seems like it would be boring, and Iowa too. Yeah. There are a few states it's like would just be boring to go to. You know, like, yep. That sure is a field, all right. Was Cove's milkshake to your liking? The traffic was nuts the one time I drove in it. Don't drive or live in Atlanta Metro. The interstate loops are ridiculous. You're scared of my state? Nah. "10-minute drive here easily will take you 40 minutes. Alright, another section. Do one more. Hopefully it's another short one. Light filtered down through the leaves of an oak tree overhead, casting speckled shadows on the sidewalk all around you. There was a drop of sweat slowly making its way down the side of your face. You flicked it away with your thumb, slowing to a stop in the cool shade. The day had you out and about in town, in no hurry to go anywhere in particular. You had just gotten something to eat, and there was nothing planned for the rest of the afternoon. Your moms were at work, and Liz had left early in the morning to do something. You had no idea what. Crazy how big Atlanta got within the last 25 years. Oh, happy birthday. Yes, happy birthday, Habibi. Happy birthday, Habibi. Everyone wish Habibi a happy birthday. You took out your phone, idly noting the time when it started to jingle. The screen lit up in your hand. Speak the devil, Liz messaged you. Come home ASAP. Before you could even begin to question why, your phone went off again. Nothing bad, but you have to see this, so come back already. And with that final message, you were left only slightly less confused than you were before. You hadn't seen much of your sister lately. She had been acting strange for days, always shutting herself up in her room. Which wouldn't be so weird if at the dinner table she didn't suddenly start smirking to herself over nothing. The rare times you did see her, she would sneak you expectant looks like she was waiting to be asked what was up, but all your questions led nowhere. She'd answer you with a put-upon sigh, proclaim that she was busy, and tell you that she would have to talk about it later. No hints, no guessing. Whatever it was, she was determined to keep it a secret. Maybe now you'd finally find out what it was. As you did an about-face to the sidewalk and started heading home, you received more texts. To your surprise, the name that popped up on the screen this time was Cove's. Did you hear from Liz? About some urgent thing you have to see? She messaged Cove, too? You weren't surprised. Liz teased him about it, but he was like family. However, you were struggling to understand how he fit into Liz's surprise. Hey, Gemini. Yeah, Liz sent me the same thing. What, is there something on fire? Why would Liz tell you her news? Oh. What? Is there something on fire? His reply came only seconds later as he waited to cross the street. Something tells me it's not that, and something tells me you know that too. You laughed to yourself as you read his message. A short-lived joke, but you knew when to let things go. You got me, Detective. Too bad that's all I know. Are you going to see what's up? I'm walking there now. Me too. Glancing up, you saw that the light had changed to a walk sign while you were busy texting. You hurriedly wrapped things up, texting Cove a quick goodbye before crossing the street. He was fine. You'd be seeing him later anyway. Not expecting any more messages, you put your phone away so you could walk without having to worry about tripping over the curb. Thankfully, it was a short trek home, and soon enough you were walking up your street, the familiar face of your house already in view. Thinking of what might be waiting at home left you entirely lost. And the more you learned, the more questions you had. They were all buzzing around in your head, too many to try to pick out and make sense of. Lost in your thoughts, you almost didn't see who was walking further up the street. Cove. Even from the back, the bright sea-green color of his hair was unmistakable. You quickened your pace to catch up to him, the scuff of your shoes loud against the pavement. He heard it instantly, not missing a beat as he turned towards you and slowed his steps in sync.
Hey.
Much for me to put my hair in a side pony? I'm gonna say $2,000. No. I'll be realistic. $1,000. $1,000 for me to do a side pony. A steal at that price. Because I really don't want to do a side pony. I find side ponies just look bad. I do not like the looks of side ponies. What was for dinner? I went. My mom and me went out for dinner, or my mom and I went out for dinner. I had ribs and wings, half rack of ribs and 6 wings. Was not Kelsey's. Hey, Jamie. Hi. Here we are, at my house. At that, Cove gave you a wry smile. Here we are. With a scrunchie like the 80s? You want me to have one of those 80s scrunchies? It's going up to 5,000. Side pony is half of pigtails. And I hate pigtails. I don't get the appeal of pigtails. Any veal? No. It sounded almost like a question, wondering why the two of you had been summoned there. Man bun? Probably not. Any ideas on what Liz wants us for? You shook your head. The situation was out of character for your sister. Anything could happen. Well, I guess we should go in and find out. Taking his cue, you grabbed your keys and opened up the front door. Cove trailed behind you as you entered. You walked through the open door and peered about, not sure what you were looking for. From the entryway, you could see Liz pacing across the living room, her smiling gaze intent on her phone. You had caught her just as she had completed a turn. Behind you, the door clicked shut. The second she heard it, her head darted up to your direction, her features lighting up at the sight of you and Cove. Ah, you've arrived, and together, too. That's perfect, just perfect. The baby? It was my mom. My mom, was here visiting, her friends, so she came up to say, wish me good night. She flashed you a radiant smile. You could almost see her limbs vibrating, as if she was poised to pounce. Cove raised an eyebrow at your sister's bizarre behavior. You're in a good mood today? Liz only hummed playfully in response. Liz's eyes narrowed with a mischievous glint, and she let out a little cackle. So lately, I've been hard at work on a little plan of mine, and you two get the honor of seeing it all come together. Here it is! Surprise! She lifted a hand in the air to present the very comfortable but completely mundane living room. In the resulting silence, you and Cove glanced around again, and then made eye contact with each other. His face mirrored your bafflement. You have the honor of tucking me in? Then suddenly another voice rang out of the room.
Surprise!
Ah! Cove flinched at the shout, his shoulders shooting up to his ears. Laughter came from your sister, as well as from the other side of the room. Your head whipped around just in time to see a familiar figure with a freckled face and a purple cap springing up from behind the back of the couch. Cove's mouth fell open, recognition immediately coming to him. Shiloh? Hi, Cove. Hi, Jamie. Shiloh greeted the two of you so casually, like he'd been gone for 10 days rather than 10 years. But I thought you weren't the Shiloh we knew. The initial shock quickly wore off. You crossed your arms and leveled a look at the freckle face who had ditched you at the start of summer. He treated you and Liz like complete strangers. Shiloh shifted nervously, angling the brim of his hat down as if to hide from your scrutiny. Liz tutted at your comment.
Rude.
Don't be rude. I'll explain. When we got home that day, I changed my mind about letting it go. Why did I have to? Social media exists, right? So I thought, why not try finding him and sending him a little reminder message? Luckily, there are only so many 17-year-old Shiloh Fields in the world. It wasn't that hard to do. Hearing Liz speak seemed to encourage Shiloh, who pulled himself together to face both you and your sister with a careful smile.
Sorry.
I'm really sorry about what happened. When you talked to me that first time, I was in the middle of a tour for a school field trip. I couldn't get separated from the group and didn't expect anyone to want to be talking to me. I was so worried about getting back to everyone else, I didn't think too hard on what you were saying. But when Lizzie's message showed up, everything suddenly hit me. Lizzie, Jamie, Cove, you were the kids of Sunset Bird, back when I was a little kid. There's no way I could forget that, not for real. I do know all of you, and I'm so happy I get to see you again. No one reveal about what was revealed about Habibi's heritage tonight. Shiloh is a twink. He does seem pretty twink-like. Uncle's basketball couch is lightheaded. The basketball coach is lightheaded. I have Lizzie to thank for that. My mom was already planning to take a short trip near here this summer.
Well,
If my mom could bring me along, Lizzie offered to pick me up and bring me the rest of the way here, just so I could visit the neighborhood again. And that's why I decided to make it a big reveal instead of outright telling you two I got back in contact with Shiloh. Once again, she lifted a hand in the air, properly presenting that long-lost childhood friend you all shared. So, ta-da! It was impressive how it all came together. You never could have planned seeing Shiloh that day. To think it would lead to this. You raised your hands and started clapping for Liz. Thank you, thank you. You've been a wonderful audience. Hey, action figure. My mom is very sweet. Where's my mom? Maria? She's back home by now. Cove blinked slowly, still a little dazed by everything that was going on.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm going to get some water. Don't disappear or anything. He padded off to the kitchen, no need for a chaperone. He knew where the cups were. Wow, you really surprised him, Lizzie. And Jamie, too. Did you see their face when I appeared? Yes, I did. Liz patted the cushioned front of the couch. Make yourself comfortable. You don't have to keep hunkering down behind there anymore. With a laugh, Shiloh crossed around backside and took the seat. But maybe it was awkward being the only one sitting because he kept idly twiddling his fingers. Hey, I like bugs. How long? Pretty long. It is pretty long. I am getting near to the end. You could hear him humming to himself. A nonsense tune with no real melody, something to keep his voice busy. Being here again could be more nerve-wracking for him than he let on. Cove's voice announced his return. Soft voice announced his return. He paused to drag the back of his hand across his mouth. Wiping away what droplets of water lingered there. Hi, Shiloh. Welcome back? At Cove's confused greeting, Shiloh laughed cheerily.
Thanks.
I think it's amazing you're all still here in the same neighborhood. It's just like how it was way back then. With a giggle that implied differently, Liz nodded in your general direction.
Mm-hmm.
There have been some changes since then. You narrowed your eyes at Liz. There was no way you could miss the teasing look she was fixing you and Cove with. Shillow's eyes shifted across the group, still smiling politely, but there was a slight tilt to his eyebrows. He didn't know what to make of what she was saying. That is, until Cove cleared his throat and spoke. Jamie and I are dating. It was fascinating how red he got as he said it, but his voice was steady, confident. By now, most people knew you were going out. Shillow's eyes went as wide as saucers, mouth opening into a tiny O shape. Zach? Not yet. They haven't released the new DLC yet. I think maybe this month is going to be the last bit of DLC. Hey, Gossip Girl. I suppose I did? You've never respected me? Fair enough, backshots.
Congratulations! That's amazing!
The two of you seem to like each other even when we were kids. It's really sweet that you're together. Cove's got himself a keeper. You lifted your head high in confidence. So what if it sounded cocky? Were you wrong? Cove made a snorting sound into his fist, but the warm look he gave you out of the corner of his eye seemed to agree with your sentiment. Shiloh sighed happily. He sounds like a twink too? Yeah, Shiloh is absolutely perfect twink. Shiloh is a peak twink. Shiloh sighed happily at the moment as Cove raised an eyebrow and gave the room a considering glance. Hey, this is where we met the first time, remember? Right after I moved in, me and Jamie were brought down right here to have a play date with you. Shiloh laughed, his eyes downcast as he fiddled with the corner of his collared shirt. We met on the hill behind the house. What? The two of you ran away from the living room because Cove didn't want to meet me. You grimaced, remembering how Cove had gone straight to the window to escape the arranged meeting. You had gone with him when Shiloh had arrived. Cove cringed at the memory of his younger self being pushed back to the forefront of his mind, his mouth going tight, He awkwardly looked away from Shiloh. You have a good memory.
Oh?
Oh, I don't think so. Seeing this place again just brings lots of things back. He clapped his hands together, an idea suddenly coming to him. But hey, now that our group is together, would you want to go out and visit some of the old places? I've been hiding in the living room since I got here. Liz wasn't afraid to laugh at herself, bringing a hand to her chest to silently take the blame for that. I'd love to. Yeah. Without missing a beat, the others turned to you for your answer. Where to first?
That's fine.
I'm sure we'll figure it out along the way. Shiloh's wearing too much blush. And with that, the four of you headed out into the neighborhood as one. Even with how short the time you spent indoors was, the sun was momentarily blinding once you left the house. Squinting, you brought your hand up to shield your eyes. The pleasant summer day had yet to go away. Only a few wispy clouds drifted along in the sky. As you strolled down the way, Liz took the lead, followed by you and Cove walking side by side. Shiloh freely took to walking in the middle of the road, his arms idly swinging back and forth at his sides as he turned his head every which way to take in as much as he could. It was very much a trip down memory lane for him. You wondered how much the neighborhood had changed in his eyes. Not a word passed between the group about where you were heading first, but soon enough you found yourselves walking the usual path to the shopping street. Fuck, marry, kill? I guess I'd rather fuck. I'm not really a killer backshots. I don't know, marriage is, kind of a big commitment. Before you reached it, the sounds of it did. A collective of sandals tracking sand, the shrill calls of seagulls, the overlapping conversations of beachgoers, and random strains of music from various stalls. It's not how the game works. I know how the game works. But I don't know, the options weren't listed yet, which meant that the options were to fuck, to marry, or to kill. Anyway, I don't know who those people are, so I don't care. Kill them all, I don't care. Kill them all, let God sort them out. Wow! The odd gasp had come from Shiloh. His eyes were all lit up. Were there always so many different stores in one place?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Wow. I can see why so many people come here. Hey, do they still have those nice little ice cream stands? Yeah, that hasn't changed. Yay, we should get some. It'll be my treat. Thanks, Shiloh. Ice cream sounds perfect on such a hot day. How about you, Cove? You could see that unlike Liz, Cove was struggling with the decision, brow wrinkled in thought. Finally, a hesitant smile appeared on his face as he settled on keeping to the spirit of the special occasion. Yeah, sounds good to me. Awesome. And Jamie? I like that, thanks. Shiloh gave you a wide grin as if you were the one buying him ice cream. The four of you continued to walk as ice cream plans were further discussed. Are you getting a popsicle, Lizzie? Yes. Hearing that, Shiloh smiled shyly. I thought you might still like that. I'm gonna get an ice cream cone. Shiloh began to turn towards Cove, but before he could ask, Cove offered up his choice. I'll get an ice cream sandwich. I'm gonna get a cone. Shiloh had the right idea for this one. It was the best choice. You still like those, Cool. Yep. There was an ice cream stall further up the street, across from a souvenir shop displaying postcards at the seaside and saltwater taffy in its windows. The stand itself was already hard to miss with its pastel pinks and blues and its eye-catching poster boards listing every individual flavor. It was impossible to ignore once the catchy little jingle playing from its speakers was added. Shiloh greeted the owner and began picking up the treats that everyone had chosen. He paid for them before handing them out to their respective owners. Sinking your teeth into your ice cream cone, you relished the sweet chill it left in your mouth. Hey, feral cat! Liz was right. This was a perfect treat for a summer day. Around you, everyone was eating at their own pace. Liz held her popsicle away from herself, careful not to let it drip onto her dress. She was trying to go about eating it as delicately as she could, while Shiloh dug into his. You counted only 2 or 3 bites before Cove had devoured his sandwich. Shiloh laughed, also noticing the way Cove inhaled his food. It's already finished? Cove shrugged a little in reply, his attention more focused on crumpling up the sandwich wrapper in his hand. So, what have you been doing around here since I've been gone? Well, I already told you about me attending college away from here, so I don't really live here anymore. But to be more specific on my life, I'm pursuing a degree in architecture. Shiloh perked up at that, his mouth falling open in awe. Amazing!
Thanks.
Actually, I was thinking about it, and the first time I really decided I liked buildings and building them was when you and I would make sandcastles out on the beach.
Aw.
Aw, Lizzie! At such a sincere admission from your sister, all Shiloh could do was blush and lower his head, too flattered to know what else to say. Liz laughed, just as flustered, though she had been the one to say it. The atmosphere was awkward, but not unpleasant. Shiloh shyly glanced over at you and Cove. Then what about you two? What have you been up to?
Oh.
Me and Jamie just graduated. High school, I mean. I've got a part-time job. I volunteer to clean at this organization to clean up stuff, things like that. You idly explained how you're doing normal things. You felt there wasn't anything super interesting to share about your life. What you cared about was important to you, but you knew it wasn't always the same for other people. Shiloh just seemed happy to hear it.
Great.
Being around him again was a little like picking up an old forgotten habit. Clunky at first, but as the 4 of you talked, it started to come more naturally. And when one of you ran out of things to say, suddenly someone else remembered something new. Oh right, do you remember those mean old not-actually grandparents that used to live in our neighborhood? Yeah, they were so mean. Well, they're not here anymore. Oh no! They're not spending summers here anymore. They're still alive. Thank goodness. It helped that Shiloh was just as eager to hear what had gone on in his absence as people were to tell him. Soon everyone threw out what trash they had in a nearby garbage can as your group made their way down to the beach. Going down to the shore inevitably led to a certain spot. It didn't take very long for Shiloh to recognize what was in the distance. His words trailed off in the middle of a sentence, his footsteps faltering at first. Then, all at once, he broke away from the group and dashed right into the old park, giggling as he ran. Oh, everything's so small! His laughter petered out as he came to a stop by the swings and grabbed hold of one of the support poles. He walked in a little circle around it, marveling at how easily his hand wrapped around it in its entirety. He likes grasping poles, huh? Good little twink. Emboldened by Shillow's enthusiasm, Liz plopped herself down on one of the swing sets, only to instantly show an expression of regret. There was no way she was comfortable in that tiny seat so low to the ground, not with how she had to scrunch up her legs to fit there. Shiloh creeped up behind her. He took hold of the chains of her swing, one in each hand.
Seriously?
What are you doing? And with a grin, Shiloh started walking back. Liz shifted in her seat to look at him. You cannot be trying to push me. These are made for kids. It's never going to work. But Shiloh just hummed and kept pulling her back. Resigning herself to her fate, Liz tucked her legs up as much as possible as Shiloh moved his hands to her back. With a running start, he got her forward and up as far as he could go before jumping out of the way. Liz had her eyes squeezed shut, a screech escaping her as the swing started falling backwards, and when it swung back around, there was Shiloh again to push her. She couldn't kick the ground like when you were kids. Her legs were too long for that now, but Shiloh was pushing her enough to keep the momentum going. The air was filled with their wild laughter and the almost rhythmic jangle of the swing chains. Cove sat against the bars of the jungle gym, wearing a bent smile as he watched them. He was fiddling with something, turning it over and over in his hands. When you craned your neck to get a better view, he obligingly lifted it for you to see. It was a piece of shell, one side rough and mottled gray, the other side completely smooth, revealing a faint blue sheen when it caught the light. I saw it on the beach. It's nice, isn't it? Yeah, it's a good one. No, I meant Shiloh. He seems more confident than I remember. You found it amazing to be playing with Shiloh at the park again. I don't think I'll ever forget this. Cove nodded, leaning back to enjoy the breeze blowing in from the sea. Soon your sister began to speak out. All right, I'm ready to get off now. How do you stop this? Don't worry. Shiloh braced himself, one foot planted forward as the swing started coming back down. Then, in one quick motion, he reached up and caught the chains again. The impact had his feet skidding back in the sand, but he kept his stance steady. If Liz was surprised at suddenly being brought to a halt, she didn't show it, only tilting her head up to smile at him. Shiloh had yet to catch his breath, though returned the smile just as brightly. He let go of the chains, walking around the swing set and briefly rubbing his hands together before offering one to Liz, which she graciously accepted, needing the help to get out of the tiny seat. Then the two of them made their way back over to you and Cove. Liz was looking more ruffled than usual, and her sun hat was off kilter, having held on for dear life for the entire ride. She took a moment to straighten her outfit back into place. That looked like fun? It was! Even though you were just pushing me on the swings? Yep, that was the fun part.
Huh.
Hey Shiloh, you've got an idea of what our lives have been like since you've been gone, but I've been wondering what happened to you after you moved away. Shiloh's eyes went wide, as if it was surprising to hear. You couldn't recall him talking about himself when you were all telling stories, but maybe he hadn't been able to find the right timing. He brought his hand up to his chin, tapping it thoughtfully as he looked up and to the side. Well, what happened was my mom decided to move back to the south, close to where I was born. We stayed there for a few years until she got another job offer in California again, thanks to a connection she had here. It was a really good job at a private boarding school, so she decided to take it. With a wide grin, he said the next part. And as a bonus, our kid, me, gets to attend the school and live in the dorms for free. I've been there since my second year of middle school. Pretty soon, I'm going to be starting my last year of high school. Liz leaned towards him with an attentive smile on her face. Have you been doing well there? Getting good grades? Got any friends? At the list of questions, Shiloh held his hands in front of himself as if they were physical things he could stave off. Yeah, to everything. It can be a little hard sometimes because of how people are in that school, but I'm happy. How people are? Cove couldn't guess what that meant, but Liz folded her arms, scowling. Don't tell me there's more people like that Nate guy hanging around. Shiloh rubbed at his cheek, laughing nervously. He glanced from the bars of the jungle gym to the laces of his shoes to the trees swaying in the distance, unsure of where to rest his gaze. He's a child? Yeah, 17. He's 17. Not exactly. Nate doesn't mean to be mean. He just kind of is. He's the school's #1 performer for athletics and academics. He always takes on so much responsibility that the only possible way he can finish it all is if absolutely nothing goes wrong. But that's impossible, so he's always stressed and ready to snap. He can't handle it when someone seems to be causing a problem. That's why during the field trip he was upset when I went off on my own like that. Still, he's really smart and reliable and sensitive, and he cares a lot. Most of the time he doesn't even realize his way of dealing with stuff upsets other people. Cove had a patient smile on his face, listening earnestly as Shiloh rattled off his list of Nate's good traits. You know him pretty well. Are you actually friends? Well, not exactly. Me and Nate are in the same after-school group. About once a month, me, 6 other students, and a supervisor get together to talk. We did it all of last year, and I think next year we're going to be in the same group again. I hope so. I'm glad Nate's not so bad after all. Especially since Shiloh might have to be in the same after-school group as him next year. Liz shook her head at your words. It would take much more for her to be convinced of Nate's upstanding character. Personally, I'd still appreciate having a word with Nate about his communication skills. Her tone of voice was low and pointed. You'd be worried for Nate, if not for the playful smile that accompanied her words. Shiloh let out a little laugh at that. I do have Nate's number, but he wouldn't pick up. The people in my group only answer when they feel like hearing from me. So usually I have to wait for them to call. Either that or they'd never even consider answering my calls, or calling me, or talking to me at all, unless the supervisor forces them to. It was such a bleak description of his dynamic with his group, but he didn't seem to realize it until he glanced up and saw the concerned looks on everyone's faces. His smile fell. He hastened to add one more thing. Well, except for one who will always answer for sure. Oh? She immediately perked up.
Really?
So that's a friend of yours? He hesitated to answer, something Cove picked up on. Not exactly. Yeah. I'd like to be friends, though. Alright. Liz crossed her arms together once more, grim-faced like she was the commander of a ship about to lead her little crew into battle. You should call them. Right now. What? If you want to be friends with them, I can help. If you're going to be in the same group again, then you should at least try to get along. No, I couldn't. He quickly grew flustered, his tongue stumbling over his sentences. I don't want to be a bother.
I mean...
Liz, what are we going to do? Watch him while he talks to someone on the phone? No, Cove. Damn! Bold! I think that's literally the first time they've actually had bold text inside the text box. Damn! Shiloh. The last syllable of Shiloh's name trailing off into nothing. It soon became clear Liz had not fully thought out the plan yet, but she wouldn't be Liz if she just stopped there. Shiloh? Could put them on a video call and we could all talk together, of course. She clapped her hands together, a wide smile on her face that didn't leave room for dissenting opinions.
All right.
It's a good idea. It'll work. It's a terrible idea. Shiloh, you don't have to listen to her. Oh, all right. Liz sent you a roll of her eyes, as if you were the one with the ridiculous idea. Come on, Shiloh. We'll just talk to them. Say that we're your friends from out of town. The worst that could happen is nothing changes. But once they have more chances to talk to you, I know they'll be convinced to be better friends. It's going to turn out okay. Shiloh stalled to answer, but his hand was already hovering over one of the pockets of his pants. All right. We can talk. Yes! Liz clenched a hand into a fist, cheering as Shiloh officially reached into the pocket and pulled out his phone. You notice it was the same type of model as your own, but his had a red case around it. The screen lit up and Shiloh requested a video call with some number in his contacts. None of them on the list had names. He must remember what number belongs to what person. He inched closer to the three of you so everyone could hear better. Vaguely, you wondered how this looked from the outside. 4 teenagers on the verge of adulthood hanging out on an old playground, all huddled up around a single phone. Strange? Suspicious? The ringing of the phone broke you out of your musings. You kept your eyes on it, your heart speeding at the end of each dial tone, thinking, could this be it? Only to have another start up. It had been ringing for a while when you started to think of what Cove said, about all of you watching as Shiloh talked on the phone. Maybe even that wouldn't happen. Shiloh could sense the awkwardness in the air, smiling to try to dispel it. This is normal, don't worry. Just as he said it, the call ended, not even going to voicemail. Shiloh clicked to redial. He never answers on the first call. He always does on the second. That's how he is, at least with most people. There are exceptions. You, Liz, and Cove furtively shared ambiguous looks, none of you wanting to accidentally discourage Shiloh. Then you focused on the phone again as it started to ring once more. The jingling suddenly cut off in the middle, followed by the faint sound of wet noise. With a big smile on flushed cheeks, Shiloh brought the phone up to his face. A voice, low and groggy, came rasping out of the speakers. Hello? Shiloh, on the other hand, was much more chipper.
Hi.
Hi, I'm visiting a town I used to live in when I was little, and I wanted to introduce my group mate to the people I knew back then. Some of them have already met Nate. Can you say hey to them too? And with that rushed introduction, Shiloh stuck the phone out towards Cove, gesturing for him to greet the person on the other end. Although Cove hadn't been on board in the beginning, the only indication of that now was the lopsided tilt of his smile. He turned his gaze down to the screen, opening his mouth to speak, only to stutter to a complete stop. Huh? All Cove could do was sputter and gape at the screen. His reaction had Shiloh's brow crinkling in worry. What? Shiloh's groupmate didn't sound particularly impressed with how this conversation was going so far. Shiloh frowned, retracting his arm away from Cove. As he did so, the screen tilted towards you and you caught a glimpse of what was on the screen. Light green hair, sharp orange eyes shadowed with bags, and icy pale skin, all tied together to make up the scowling face of a person who clearly had no desire to be here. You knew him. A flood of memories arose, flashes of that one summer years ago at this very same park. You, holding on to an arrangement of fruit, Derek and Cove at your side. And that kid, mean as a tiny chihuahua, snapping at everyone who dared to come close. Wow, you're a lot better looking now. Jeremy drew back, his nose wrinkling in disgust. You think I'm appealing? What kind of messed up taste do you have? I don't know, he actually is kind of cute. That's an insult to yourself.
So what?
And? Cove still couldn't take his wide eyes off the phone. He spoke now in a very small voice, almost a squeak. Jeremy? Yeah? His reply was mildly annoyed at this point. How did you know his name was Jeremy? You didn't tell them? No, I only called you somebody from my group at school. Jeremy regarded Cove cautiously, for the first time giving the situation a little of his focus. Cove bristled, sucking in a long, deep, dramatic breath.
Oh my god.
And all at once he started shouting, and not just with his voice. He waved his arms around, gesturing wildly with his hands as he repeatedly yelled, "Oh my god," with all sorts of inflections. Cove goes, Apparently they are not related somehow, despite both having green hair. Oh my god! Oh my god! At these antics, Jeremy gave a short huff of a sigh through his teeth, the sound tinny over the phone speakers. What is this, Shiloh? Are you trying to make me suffer? Are you still mad about what happened at the amusement park? I was on your side, you know. Liz, who had been entirely lost this whole time, finally spoke up.
Huh?
What happened at the amusement park? But no one paid that question any mind. I don't know what's going on. Have you met each other before? Nope. It was an immediate reply from Jeremy, but then those stinging eyes squinted. Wait. There was a flash of recognition there as he leaned his head forward and scrutinized the both of you. His already wide frown somehow found a way to grow deeper at his realization.
Oh, it's you people. Again.
Hi! He looked from Shiloh to Cove, and then to you. You could tell he was carefully putting his thoughts together.
Sorry.
I have no idea how you people got in contact with me, or what Shiloh has to do with this, but, sorry. What? Jeremy sighed again. His gaze rolled over to Cove. I don't remember exactly what I did or what I said, but I do know what I was like as a kid. And really, that's all I need to know. Well, okay, but who is that apology for? It better be for me and Jamie. He spoke sternly, though there was no hiding the shakiness present. That didn't matter. Cove coming to your defense by confronting Jeremy brought a warm smile to your face. Jeremy, on the other hand, continued to be unimpressed. The corner of his lip twitched. I didn't need to know what the teenage guy equivalent of a smooshy squeak is, but now I do. Thanks for that. A small offended noise escaped Cove. Unfortunately, it was also squeaky sounding. His face immediately burned red with embarrassment. That's my squeak toy you're talking about. With your thumb pointed at Cove for added emphasis. Cove huffed in disbelief, but he couldn't fight the smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. Jeremy didn't react at all. He continued watching the four people on the other end of this unwanted call, lackadaisically.
Whatever.
The apology is for whoever. Anyone who had to deal with me back then, they weren't having a good time. He shrugged. Jeremy's focus cycled from you to Cove and back again. I kind of remember what happened, I think. You were sensitive and you didn't have much patience for me. That makes sense. Jeremy tilted his head Cove's way and then yours, respectfully. Amazed, Cove took a few processing moments before he could respond. He blinked and rubbed the back of his neck. Oh, thanks. I mean, it's no problem? This is honestly incredible. Excitement built up in your chest at this opportunity to speak to Jeremy again. This conversation was the absolute last thing you had expected today. Your smile widened. Whatever. Following Cove's eye, you watched it dart from Shiloh to Jeremy, openly wondering what had happened to Jeremy over these past few years. So you're nice now?
Nope.
At least he's honest. I don't throw tantrums or pick fights anymore, but I'm not nice. Jeremy shook his head in disbelief. That squeak toy comment wasn't a compliment, you know. I don't have the energy to get angrily worked up like I used to as a kid. It's all pointless anyway. Now I'm just miserable. God damn it, I like him now! This is unfair. Why are you making me like you, Jeremy? You're such a little bitch, and I appreciate that about you. He's such a little bitch, and I appreciate that about him. Jeremy, the emo bully. Exactly! He's so emo, and it's like... Now I'm just miserable. Hell yeah! Hell yeah! I get you. I get you! I get Jeremy! His tone was even grumblier than usual, and dragged the last syllables out on the last word for extra emphasis. Oh. An awkward laugh escaped Shiloh. Then his mouth pulled into a demure smile. Don't let what Jeremy says about himself get you too down. He's got people who care about him, and make sure he's okay. Like me. Don't listen to Shiloh. It's nice you're looking out for someone else, Shiloh. Shiloh blushed at the compliment, while Jeremy fixed you with a blank stare. Thanks, Janie. Okay, seriously, how long am I meant to be out of the loop here? Her expression twisted in frustration as Liz rubbed her right temple. Why am I the only one who doesn't know this kid? Shiloh goes to school with him, that's fine, but how'd the two of you meet him and I didn't? Your mom sounds like mine, Lady Di. You tried to explain. You were there, I think. He was around town one summer, maybe 5 years ago? Is that all? While Liz seemed a bit underwhelmed, Shiloh appeared to be utterly amazed. You had to hold back a small laugh.
Really?
You knew Jeremy as a little kid? What was he like? I've only known him for 1.5 years. Well... His voice immediately hushed him to nothing. You could see Cove wince just thinking on those past encounters. Actually, Cove does a good Jeremy impression. Why don't you do that instead? Oh, you've got an impression of me, huh? Cove's body stiffened in fear. Jeremy leaned forward just a bit. Sure, go ahead. Do it. Hey, J-Dot, welcome back. Jeremy spoke dispassionately, but it somehow still felt like a dare.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Cove shook his head, along with a stilted laugh. He was sweating in place. I really shouldn't. It's not very flattering. I bet. More broken chuckles fell out of him, and Cove turned his face towards the ground.
Sorry.
Drooping your shoulders, you accepted the Cove wasn't going to do the impression. Shiloh frowned in disappointment. Jeremy groaned at the atmosphere. Whatever, I'll do my own impression.
You are stupid. You are stupid. You are stupid. And don't forget, you are stupid.
My mom lived here in the States for 50 plus years until had her Scottish accent. Passed away 13 years ago, at the age of 80. She is from Shot, Lancashire. Lanarkshire. Yeah, my mom's from Winchborough, which is sort of the, it's like an hour outside of Edinburgh. And, yeah, she's lived here probably 50 years. My mom's probably been here for 50 years or so. And, yeah, just at times, she's still got just hints of her accent. Had to take a shower? He delivered the rapid-fire insults in a blandly annoyed tone. After a pause, he went back to his normal tone of complete disinterest. Do I love lesbians? Lesbians are great. So that, but louder and shriller. I'm not going to yell for this. You laughed. You never would have guessed that Jeremy was someone who could mock himself like that. It was a nice surprise. At that confirmation, Shiloh burst into uncontrolled laughter. Even when he calmed moments later, gasping for breath, there was still a wide grin plastered on his face. Love her accent reminds me of home? Yeah. I can't even imagine Jeremy being like that. I can't imagine him not being like that. They both chuckled again. Cove's mouth pulled into a bent smile. I mean, Jeremy hasn't made fun of my eyebrows once this whole conversation. Unbelievable.
Huh.
Jeremy blinked and focused all of his attention onto Cove. His eyes unmistakably narrowed in on the eyebrows. He didn't say anything at first, and then his words came out in a mumble. That makes sense. I guess insulting eyebrows was just what I did as a kid. What does that mean? What do you think it means? You weren't the only kid in the world with bad eyebrows, and you're not the only one I picked on for it.
Seriously?
I wasn't? You couldn't help yourself, could you? Nope. Wow. So, what made their eyebrows bad? Are you curious if yours are better? By terrible eyebrow standards, at least? Kind of, yeah.
Sigh.
Okay. I appreciate when somebody says sigh. That's always one of my favorite things, is when somebody just says, sigh. Incredulously, Cove looked from Jeremy to you, and then back to him again. You had to question if you heard that right. He spoke the word sigh instead of actually sighing. What's wrong with that? I sometimes do that. I'll sometimes go, sigh. Noticing the reaction, Jeremy sighed for real, but he continued on to answer Cove's question. The guy has particularly odd hair coloring. White hair, but only on the top of his head. Every other strand on his body is dark brown, including his immensely bushy eyebrows. He was born that way. It's not dyed. So, you were the scarred boy with dumb wavy eyebrows, and he was the white-haired boy with stupid caterpillar eyebrows. Ow. Unexpectedly, a loud gasp came from Shiloh at that description. No! You picked on Pran for his eyebrows? I did. I'm sure you find that hilarious. No, that's not very funny. So he said, but Shiloh was smothering laughter. The unconvinced note in Jeremy's voice didn't surprise you. Okay, wait, give me a second. Let me just... Jeremy rolled his eyes in the slowest, most exaggerated way possible. When he made a complete circle, he spoke flatly while Shiloh broke into a fit of giggles. There. Who's Pran? Shiloh knows him too?
Well...
Jeremy and Pran have known each other for a long time. They managed to go to the same boarding school later on. I met them both there in the spring of last year. We're all group mates. Jeremy's gaze slid away from Shiloh. He looked somewhere between you and Cove. Pran and I met about 4.5 years ago, back when I was still an intolerable brat, and Pran was meek. You can only imagine how amazing that combination was. Plans for tomorrow? Groceries. Yeah, it must make those group meetings awkward. Nope. Somehow, someway, for some reason, Pran chose to stubbornly stick with me for as long as we've known each other. He's my best friend. What? It's all surprising, I know. I have a best friend, and it's the caterpillar brow guy of all people. But I guess things balanced out in the end. Pran's timid nature is good and dead. He grew up to be colder than even me. I'm mopey, and he's broody. A perfect match. 2 peas and a ruining everyone's life pod.
Gross.
Don't quote Everett. Cove whined after Jeremy snapped his last remark. Now who's Everett? You don't want to know. Yeah, you don't want to know. Shiloh hummed, and he watched his 3 old friends with an amused smile. He was having fun. Before you could say anything, Jeremy continued. Everett is also a part of the group, unfortunately. But he chose not to elaborate further than that. Liz sighed this time. You could feel her frustration. You couldn't blame her for that. She hadn't been able to participate much at all. Do a haul? Nah. She didn't know Jeremy then, so there was no basis for reminiscing now. And there was a 10-year gap in her history with Shiloh. The whole situation struck an odd chord with you. 2 boys that you knew separately came to know each other, and now they know each other much better than they know any of you. Shiloh was almost a stranger. You were glad things seemed to be going all right. Jeremy hadn't left the call, and you were learning bits and pieces about Shiloh's new world outside of Sunset Bird. You were taking both as little wins. Turning to the 3 of you, Shiloh smiled apologetically. You wondered if he was picking up on how in the dark Cove and Liz were feeling. He was perceptive when he wanted to be. Hey, is there anything you want to hear about Jeremy? I can tell you all about him. We should get to know each other better. Don't do that. It'll be okay. Jeremy whined, but Shiloh brushed his complaints off. He remained happily focused on the rest of you, and Liz seemed to perk up at the conversation shift. That sounds great. We should get to know Jeremy. So, who wants to go first? Despite being eager, it was obvious that Liz didn't have any ideas herself. Jeremy let out a very long sigh. What happened to his bowl cut and glasses? He had a bowl cut? That sent Shiloh into a fit of laughter, while Jeremy shook his head disapprovingly. Through chuckles, Shiloh continued with his best guess.
Right.
His mom and dad probably decided that back then, and now he picked. Or they developed new tastes over the years. As for his glasses, Jeremy wears contacts at school, and when he's out and about, but he still wears glasses when he's home or working part-time at his parents' hobby shop. What are his parents like? They're nice and optimistic. They work really hard, but they can be smothering, sort of, and usually embarrass Jeremy. Jeremy seemed unenthused by Shiloh's answer. Does he have any siblings? No, Jeremy is an only child. He doesn't have pets either. Although Pran spends almost no time with his own family and a lot with Jeremy's. It's kind of like a sibling relationship, but don't bring Pran into this awful thing. Okay. Is he single? That had Shiloh giggling. He smiled down at the screen. Jeremy isn't in anything official, but he does have someone he goes on dates with from time to time. You call that dating. I call it punishment for all of my wrongdoings in this life. Cove scrunched his face and glanced at you like he wasn't sure he heard Jeremy correctly. Shiloh smiled understandingly. It's complicated. She makes him happy against his will. That's great. Happy against his will. I like that. How unfortunate? Shiloh started chuckling again. Jeremy, on the other hand, let out a long, loud sigh, clearly done with the current topic. Can I get his number? What? Why?
All right.
Sure. Ignoring Jeremy again, Shiloh immediately started listing off the number for you. Jeremy grimaced while you contentedly saved it in your contact list. Does he have any hobbies? Reading and crafty handiwork type of stuff. Oh, and archery. Jeremy is really talented. Seriously? That's really cool. Jeremy scoffed at the compliments. He clearly wanted to move on from the conversation. Is he doing well in school? Yeah, Nate is still doing the best, but Jeremy gets respectable scores. Or, unless by doing well you mean to ask if he's having a good time or making friends, then in that case, no, he's not. You weren't sure how to respond to that at all. Glancing back at Jeremy, he rolled his eyes. How tall is he? 5'5". He's kinda short. When's his birthday? May 4th. He's a Taurus. Jeremy refused to comment on that. Instead, he rolled his eyes. Cove's okay. With me getting another boy's number? Cove knows he's my number one boy. Jeremy is just for when I need to bring a little bit of darkness into my life. What did happen at the amusement park?
Oh,
I don't actually know. I can only think of one time when we were both there. I'm not sure what part he's talking about. As far as I could tell, I didn't do anything to upset him, and I know he didn't do anything to me. That's what we're going with, Shiloh. Jeremy, what happened? I'm not going to tell you. It's humiliating. And Shiloh knows I'm not going to say anything. It's why he won't explain either. For several quiet moments, everyone stared at Shiloh and Jeremy in confusion. Shiloh had a similar look in his face before averting his eyes. Sorry, I can't help you with this one, Jamie. Everything I can think of. Cool. Thanks for asking. Cove, do you have any questions for Jeremy? Stunned, it took Cove a moment to recover from being put on the spot. But ultimately, his eyes shifted from Shiloh's and locked with Jeremy's. They remained like that long enough that it was as if they could speak telepathically.
hi.
Alright, yeah. I have a question. But Shiloh can't answer. Fine, ask me. Let's get it over with. What do you think of me? Even if you don't think I'm tough or something, do you still feel like I'm stupid and wrong about everything? A crack formed in Jeremy's lackadaisical expression. His barely open eyes lifted a little more, but he still spoke flatly. My opinion on stuff is basically the least important thing you could ever worry about. It's pointless. Well, I'm still asking. So? Cove, right? That's your name? Cove nodded. There was a tint of pink in his cheeks as he bashfully rubbed his arm.
Okay.
Okay, Cove. You seem like a guy who cares a lot about things that don't matter. It sounds pretty dumb to me. I outgrew that years ago. And being as soft as you act, it isn't something that I would ever do, basically. But you know what the absolute dumbest thing really is? Cove shook his head with creased brows. He then leaned forward just a bit, like he couldn't risk not hearing what revelation Jeremy was going to bestow on him. Making yourself miserable if you don't have to be. Oh. If you and the rest of the people here have a way to enjoy existence, then you should go ahead and do that. Stay gentle and happy, dumb eyebrow guy. Aw, that's so sweet. Stay gentle and happy, dumb eyebrow guy.
You have my approval, if that's what you wanted.
I hope you all have wonderful lives and suffer as little as possible. Wow. The words tumbled out softly. Cove was earnestly amazed by Jeremy's words.
Thank you.
And you know what's not gonna make you stay happy? What? Talking to a downer like me. So, really, you should end this conversation right now, and none of you should ever call me again for the rest of our lives. Damn, I like Jeremy! I like Jeremy so much. I love how he sometimes turns "leave me alone" into a public service message. You know? That sounds good. Can I hang up already? Oh, wait, Jeremy. I can't never call you again. Shut up, Shiloh. Unfazed, Shiloh laughed with the tilt of his head. Building something good up only to try undercutting it. That's the Jeremy I know.
Sorry.
He does smile. Sarcastically. The word dripped with sarcasm and was accompanied by a smirk. It was the first time you saw him smile this entire time. Cove piped up meekly, an awkward smile of his own on his face. Maybe my opinion is totally skewed because I'm comparing things now to how Jeremy used to be, but, I mean, you haven't seen that bad. What? Cove needed to look away from Jeremy's painfully sharp eyes to finish his thought.
I mean...
I'd probably be okay with talking to you again. Say, come on, you can have standards. Yeah, Cove, he's pretty cute. Please tell me you're making fun of me. Nope, I mean it. He groaned loudly at the affection, but there was a light blush involuntarily appearing in his face. Liz clapped her hands. Wonderful!
Good.
Now that we're so much closer to this Jeremy kid, I think we can all get along together and be friends. Friends? Jeremy repeated the word back like it was a foreign phrase. He genuinely didn't seem to understand. That's right. If we keep working on it, I don't see why the five of us can't be friends. He stared at Liz incredulously for several moments. Her expression twisted into fresh confusion of her own. Okay, 3 things. First, I already have one whole friend, and that's more than enough. Second, I still don't know who you are. Did you even say your name at any point? And most importantly, third, one of the people in this friendship is Shiloh Fields. He and I aren't gonna be friends. Why not? And I'm Liz, by the way. Because he's Shiloh. Our relationship is already as good as it ever is gonna be. He mercifully leaves me be most of the time, and on the weird occasion where he needs something, I just get it over with. Then he goes away again, and I have a modicum of peace. You know how it works, right? You're in it with me. We have the best arrangement possible with the way it is. Jeremy looked to Shiloh seriously to back up the validity of their relationship, but Shiloh shook his head with a laugh. I don't try to hang around too much, but that's because you're shy. You're the only one who thinks that setup is actually a good idea. Sorry. Jeremy turned his face to the side and let out another exaggerated sigh. Cove and Liz both joined on Shiloh's mirth. Jeremy got no support.
Sigh.
Of course you'd say that. Why did I even bother? That's Shiloh's famous memory for you. Liz's chuckling stopped. Wait, what does that mean? Shiloh's famous memory? What? Whatever. Basically, Shiloh annoyingly remembers everything that happens for all of eternity. At least until some piece of info he has isn't helpful anymore, or he's got explaining to do. Then magically, all of a sudden, he doesn't know anything about it. His boldly inconsistent recollection of situations is pretty much a running joke. It's Shiloh's shtick. One of them, anyway. A scowl dug into Liz's face as Jeremy spoke. Cove lost his smile, seeing her reaction. Shiloh remained silent, with his big childlike eyes locked on her sister. Jeremy began to shrink away from the screen at the changing atmosphere. He broke eye contact with everyone. I'm guessing he didn't mention that.
No.
No, he didn't. And he said he forgot something to you. I do recall him saying a little thing like that. Sorry. But, well, apparently you had the pleasure of meeting Nate. You know me, and I talked a bit about Pran and, Everett, too. We're all in that unbearable group, and we're all unbearable people. What an amazing coincidence, huh? What we're about is kind of hard to hide. I'm gonna go now. I don't want to be the fifth wheel to your own little group. You 3 people have a good day? I guess? And Shiloh, I'll see you back at school.
Bye.
Jeremy promptly ended the call. Just as people had begun to warm up to him, he accidentally found a new way to ice the mood again. Shiloh, now averting his own gaze, put his phone away and chuckled.
So...
I knew that Jeremy didn't think highly of me, but it's even worse than I thought. That's really sad. Shiloh! Her firm tone immediately brought Shiloh's focus back to her. Once she got his attention, however, Liz's voice became small. When we first met you in the city, did you know who we were? Did you pretend not to recognize us? The two old friends watched each other for a beat, but ultimately, Shiloh closed his eyes with a lopsided smile. Oh, Lizzie, you've got to know I could never really forget you. Liz was speechless, but it wasn't quiet. Cove couldn't stop himself from shutting out. Oh my god! You were lying to them? Lying is a strong word. I was... improvising. Yep, that makes way more sense than you not figuring it out. It was weird to think he was trying to trick you, but the interaction's a lot more understandable that way. Go home, Shiloh. Or go to my house and wait there until we can send you home.
Alright.
Okay. With his shoulders dipped and head low, Shiloh obediently left the park alone. After he disappeared up the road, Liz sat her butt down right into the sand with no concern for how dirty her dress might get this time. You crouch down with your sister. You can go. We're done. Why is Shiloh weird? People are weird. Cove shared an unsure look with you. She wanted to be alone, but this wasn't the time for that. We're not going anywhere. Accepting that you were going to be here for this, she let out a groan. At the same time, Liz pulled the sides of her hat down, gripping it tightly in frustration. I can't believe he pretended he didn't know us. Since when was Shiloh too good to catch up with acquaintances? It's infuriating. Am I an idiot for thinking we could talk? You took her arm. You wiggled over even closer to your big sister and latched onto the arm on your side. She still didn't stop gripping her hat, but you didn't let go of her either. We can still make things okay again. Yeah. Somehow?
Fine.
I know, I shouldn't care. Doesn't matter if one person doesn't want to be my bestie. He's not the greatest man on earth. I'll be fine. But I brought him here all the way from the other side of the state, and I don't even know why he did any of this. Liz finally removed her hands from the brim of her hat in order to rub at her temples instead. It blows. Cove snorted some nervous laughter at her unexpected phrasing. She didn't mind it. I bet he's just intimidated by successful women.
Thank you.
Thanks, baby kiddo. She squished you tight and rocked you back and forth in a dramatic hug. You let out a Cove-like squeak. I love you. I love you too. And what is family for? Well, I thought it was for hogging the phone while growing up, but this works. She released you with a shaky, self-impressed laugh. Oh, and thank you too, Cove, for being around. We're going to officially be family one day, right? She shot him a wry smile and he tensed up, face going red. He was willing to take her teasing if it made her feel better. Don't mention it. Good, good. Liz rested her eyes after those last couple words. It eased your heart to see her feel better. Cove let out a soft sigh of relief. Hey. Cove then brought his face close to yours so he could speak in a whisper.
Are you okay?
I know Liz was his best friend, but you knew him too. And you were there when he did his whole pretend improvisation act. okay. Then I'm glad. He doesn't deserve to be gone for 10 years and suddenly mess with everybody's emotions. Cove ended his checkup by reaching over to pat you on the shoulder reassuringly. Your longtime neighborhood group sat together quietly in the sand, just enjoying the feeling of familiarity and support. You weren't entirely sure how much time passed, but you were eventually caught off guard by a soft call in the distance. In unison, the three of you turned your heads to the sound, and there, standing at the edge of the playground, was Shiloh himself. He waved. You waved back. It was a simple sign to show you didn't reject his reappearance. Hi. You weren't sure what else to say. What's that? I couldn't hear you from over there. But don't get up on my account, I'll come to you. Really, Shiloh? Alright. You knew you heard what you said. Shiloh approached with easy strides, as if he had been welcomed. You were floored with how much confidence, or shamelessness, the boy was apparently capable of now. Liz turned her face and refused to acknowledge what was happening. She might have been trying to think happy thoughts and wish Shiloh's presence away. Unfortunately, it didn't work. When Shiloh arrived, he plopped down into the sand with the rest of you, his legs folded crisscross.
Hi.
Get lost, Shiloh. I will, in just a minute. What do you want now? Well, I figured you'd want to talk to me after you'd had some space. I ought to let you do that, even if you're going to yell at me. Liz finally faced him to be free to snap at Shiloh with full force. And why in the world would you think that? Unfazed, Shiloh looked back at her softly. You haven't changed that much, Lizzie. You're the one who found me online when I brushed you off earlier this summer. When have you ever preferred leaving something unresolved in the end? You didn't even get a chance to make me explain why I did it. I bet you're dying to do that. Liz ground her teeth, quietly fuming. Shiloh had called it right, and that sucked for her. Fine. I'll bite. Give me your excuses.
Well,
Mostly, it was really bad timing. I could have handled it a lot better if I had known I was going to see you that day, and if there wasn't a self-appointed hall monitor dutifully watching every move people made. And a "hi, good to see you, gotta go" was simply too much for your little heart to manage? Of course. The goal was to keep as much distance as possible. Admitting I was the guy you knew wouldn't have been helpful. So you can't stand us, and me trying to reconnect was just a huge pain for you after all. Amazing, wonderful, thank you so much for saying so. No, that's not it. Don't feel bad though, you're almost never wrong. Your older sister's brows twitched as she stared at Shiloh in tired disbelief. He smiled back at her brightly. I did it so this wouldn't happen. What? I dealt with that situation the way I always do. By saying stuff I didn't exactly mean, because it's just easier that way. You heard Jeremy. That's what I'm known for. Sure, right now you're mad that I pretended not to remember you. But if I hadn't done that, it would have been something else later on, and we'd have ended up here still. Liz's anger became more and more difficult for her to maintain. It was soon replaced with a sad confusion. Then don't do that. Don't be like that. Why not be someone you're actually okay showing me? Shiloh chuckled uncomfortably and searched for a way to explain himself to his former idol. I wouldn't have made you sad if I could have avoided it. I mean that. I thought I could at least finish this visit without issues. Jeremy wasn't someone I expected to call me out. That's pointless to him, usually. Hey, Gia! I don't know if you're calling me ugly, but hello! But I'm not going to be someone whose personality revolves around making you happy. No matter how much I follow others, it wasn't for them. Every decision was mine. I couldn't be in charge, so being a sidekick to the best option was something I did for my sake. I choose to let people be the boss when it's what I need, and I choose where to stop it. This ugly character? This is Shiloh! This is Shiloh the Twink. And the best I can do for you now is spare you from dealing with it. I'm not as earnest as you are. I'm not as nice as you are. I was always like that, even as a kid. Back then, I wanted to fit in, even if it meant excluding someone else. If they were the odd one out, that'd mean I wasn't. Finding my place here got harder when Cove moved in. It was a good thing for everybody that I ended up moving myself soon after that. I knew it. I was sure you weren't being honest back then. At least I'm admitting it now? I knew that's essentially how you were back then. You were a scaredy cat who wanted someone to defend you.
Jeez!
I simply imagined that in the past 10 years you grew out of that and learned how to speak to others like, I don't know, an actual grown-up human being. The Shallow Eat Cove. Shiloh is secretly a psycho? Apparently so. Well, in my defense, I'm not an adult yet. I won't be 18 until later this year in October. October 30th. You remembered! So did you, punk. Shiloh chuckled self-consciously as Liz smirked at him. There was an affable moment before she became serious again. I liked you when we were kids. I wanted to know you now. That's what upset me the most, the idea that maybe you only wanted to be rid of your old friends.
Aw.
Aw, Lizzie, you're too good to need someone like me in your life. That's the truth. I'm not worth the effort. Except for with unusual people who have odd taste. Then she straightened up in the sand, brushing her dress back out. That's an incredibly annoying thing to say. It's insane. You've only changed in stupid ways and stayed the same for the rest. That's fair. Is it? It means maybe I have unusual taste. You could have stuffed Shallow's entire hat into his mouth with how wide he opened it. Really? Well, as much as Mother Hen being compelled to look out for their chick, no matter how useless they are, is unusual. I can't help it. You haven't changed that much after all either. You're still Shiloh. You're painfully still Shiloh.
You're welcome.
I brought you here, and I'm not going to abandon you. It has to be someone's job to look out for and keep an eye on. You. With her surety returning, she pulled herself up off the ground and glowered down at Shiloh with her arms folded. Now, I do want an apology for everything done behind our backs when you could have opened with all of that you just said. You should have given us a real chance or stayed home. This stunt was rude. To me and Janie and Cove, too. As if bringing the baby chick comparison to life, Shiloh dutifully did as he was told. Sorry, Lizzie, Janie, Cove, everyone. I didn't want to cause problems or ruin the day. And you don't have to accept just because I'm saying it. Not everybody needs to like everyone. Alright then? You were kind of mean sometimes when we were kids, but I wasn't very nice to you either. All this recent stuff isn't really something to make about me, so I'm not going to hold on to it. I mean, as long as you're not going to keep upsetting people from now on. Thanks, Cove. I'll avoid doing that in the future. He then changed his focus to you. His expression was curious. He wanted to know where your feelings landed on this, on him. Were you pretending to have a good time with us today? No, it really was great to come back to the old neighborhood and see you three. I only guessed it would end badly, so I tried not to get into the situation in the first place. Jamie, do you want to stay what's left of the evening? You don't have to. As you got to your feet, you thought about it. Roll down the sand into the ocean, keep rolling until they're in North Korea. You did, and there was a reason for it. Shallow's not going to change. It seems that way, Honey Bunny. Like, it's... It doesn't seem like he is likely to change. Because he's like, he wasn't particularly ashamed. Yeah, he was just like, yeah, so... I'm a shitty person. It's just who I am. I can't help it. I can't help being shitty. So yeah, it does seem like he's not the kind of person who wants to change. I still like Shiloh. Despite everything he said and all the complicated feelings knowing him had brought you, you still couldn't bring yourself to hate him. His smile grew delicately. I want to be friends. Shiloh jumped to his feet, straightening his cap on the landing. Lynn would be so proud. You didn't all leave. Cove rose as well, but with a groan. Another group mate?
Nope.
No, he's our group supervisor. He's also friends with my mom. And if you were still wondering, that group is for people who have difficult to deal with attitudes. Jeremy and Nate being in it makes a lot of sense, huh? Shiloh spoke simply and finished his thought with a breezy shrug. Liz sighed loudly, and then she smiled ruefully at him. Jeez, Shiloh. You've certainly made yourself other people's problems since leaving. Well, now you all know me better too. Mm-hmm. Thanks for sharing. A small smirk appeared on her face as she watched Shiloh. You didn't fail to notice a hint of sarcasm in her voice. And thank you, Jamie. Accompanied by a warm smile, Liz's tone was sincere. I can keep hanging out with everyone too. Sheepish, Cove rubbed his arm. Liz's smile stretched into a grin at that news. Aw, thanks for sticking around. Shiloh with peeping Tom. Probably. Well then, what now? The four of you stared at each other in silence until Shiloh tentatively made a suggestion. Would anyone want to build a sandcastle? That sounds ideal. Get rid of Shiloh and spend some time alone time with Cove? Soon. Your older sister began to truly relax again, and you were glad to see it. Glancing at Cove, he nodded in agreement with Liz. Yeah, I like that idea too. It had been a long time since you last built a sandcastle together. You were already looking forward to burying your feet in the sand. Then we're all agreed. Come on, gang. Let's go play at the beach. The sun was far across the sky when the four of you trailed down from the park to the shore in comfortable silence. Does Liz have a camel toe? It was hard not to think back on how familiar it all felt. You never thought the four of you would ever be here together again. It wasn't long before you were sitting on the wet ground, busily pushing as much sand as possible into a lump. Aww. Wet dreams, I assume, Vanna? You all worked together quietly, but every so often a chuckle would drift through because of the castle's lopsided development. At one point, Cove stretched his legs out completely, and the incoming waves started reaching his toes. He initially was caught off guard and almost jumped into the castle, but ultimately didn't resist the water. Build graves for Shiloh and Liz. After that, the group worked with purpose to finish before the ocean could tear it all down, though still Liz ended up taking time to be particular about the castle's rudimentary design. Shiloh, of course, backed up all her plans. Cove was a dissenting voice, wanting to keep things more laid back. Things got pretty boisterous. Being there and doing this with Cove, Liz, and Shiloh felt weirdly different, yet also weirdly the same.
So...
What happened with the amusement park? You were pretending not to know, weren't you? Both you and your sister glanced at Shiloh, silently re-asking the question. Under the weight of all three of you taking a turn to ask about it, Shiloh finally gave in. I might have an idea of what he meant.
So...
The thing is, there's someone we're both familiar with, and she asked Jeremy to the amusement park one time. I made you a mod? That's funny, Vanna. I'm dreaming of being a mod. He accepted, but just complained about it. So I suggested that maybe me and her should go together. Jeremy also agreed that it'd be more fun to go around the park with me. That's what he meant when he said he was on my side. And she still went with him. And now Jeremy is embarrassed to admit, not that he was turned down, but that he was the preferred option then. It's hard to believe. Anyway, Jeremy could think that I'm mad I got passed over, but it doesn't matter if she said yes or no. All that counts is if she knows I'm totally there when she needs it. And she does. Uh-huh. Sure, Shiloh. You're so reliable. I know, right? Okay. Thanks for telling us.
You're welcome.
Smiling to yourself, You watched the three of them absorbed in the moment. It was nice, and you hoped everyone else was having just as much fun. It was sort of incredible that you were able to have another evening like this in your life. And the feeling of an odd serendipity wasn't only with Shiloh. You had also gotten a sort of closure with the old villain of that one summer long ago. Just like old times, the four of you stayed on the beach until night fell, and the moon was high in the sky. Then the time had come to say goodbye. Shiloh needed to get back to his mom, and back to where his life truly was now. Before leaving the beach, Shiloh pulled you aside and gave you his number, just in case you wanted to keep in touch. Liz already had it, though he wanted to give it to you personally. You weren't expecting that, but it was comforting to know that this didn't have to be a permanent goodbye. Shiloh is Mr. Steele your girl? Guess so. But he's upfront about it! Shiloh is Mr. I'm totally happy to be your girl's backup plan. I think that's what it is. Shiloh is Mr. Your girlfriend's backup plan. You know, like, he's not going to actively try to steal her, but yep, she calls, he's gonna answer. The four of you walked up the neighborhood street as one, tired smiles covering the familiar faces around you. The wind gently blew by, sand dragged behind you, and a hard-to-grasp feeling of contentment carried you through to the end of this road. It was a good night. After that, Shiloh disappeared from Sunset Bird once again, though this time it wasn't heartbreaking or hard to understand. This time, it was just another part of life. And it helped that Liz had her own phone and laptop and could easily check in on him from time to time. That was nice too. So these two moments, 5 more from DLC, and then we enter the end game. And, whew, 2.5 hours. But hey, you got through 2 moments this time. Don't normally... Sometimes one moment takes 2 hours, so... So I hope the 20 people in here enjoyed it. A lot of funerals in the end game. No funerals! So, depending on when the last DLC drops, I may have to take a break from this game before I finish it. Because next week, hopefully next week I can get through Boating and Happiness. And then depending on when the DLC drops, it might, Sakura MMO. Is that a porn game, Nerdicus? I think Shiloh got ran over by a bus. Glad you enjoyed it, Color Purple. Kind of. Alright. Well, I am not playing any, only if you get the uncensored patch. Okay, so, yeah, that's going to be a no then, Nerdicus. I'm pretty sure that's probably going to be a no for playing that on stream. I do want Safe for Work. Free Sonic game that came out as an April Fool's. Ah. Cool, cool. UFC or Sims and make them smash too much. Yeah, I do have... Don't worry, I've got quite a few... I got plenty of other visual novels to play. I don't know, I will... I might see if any of the games that I have left are sort of a little bit different from visual novels. I might see if I can find something a little bit different. Or I might get back to Validate. I should get back to Validate soon as well. Black Jacket? Nah, it's a little bit hot up. It's a little bit hot to wear it right now, honey bunny. Anyway, so... Woo, down to a whole 15 viewers. Woo! Anyway, yeah, it's been on long enough, so it's a good time to end the stream now. Good time to call it an evening. Back tomorrow for something regular, for just a normal stream. It is a little bit hot up here right now. I am feeling a bit hot right now, actually. The lights, actually. It's the lights warming the room up, I think. But anyway, yeah. So, good night, Super Slut. So, yeah. I'll be back tomorrow. So, hopefully see you all tomorrow. And hopefully see more than just the 16 of you tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be a little bit. Hopefully I'll have a few more viewers than that. Superstars. Be honest, Gia. You meant super sluts. Because you know how horny my viewers are. So thanks for coming. And, good night, everybody.